What was your, why did nobody ever tell me this moment? Discovered a week before our family moved to a different continent that we were moving. I had to quit my job, didn't have a proper chance to say goodbye to my friends, and had to leave most of my things behind. My mom was like, "We've been planning this for months, and no one told me." Same thing happens to me. Parents tell me we're going to a performance or dinner or movie 10 minutes before we go. They're all, "Hurry up, we're going to be late. Where are we going? And why did nobody mention this? Someplace you hate, and have no choice in changing. Oh, and we've been planning this for like a month. Don't worry, you'll love it." And then it's just a disaster. Yeah, but that's a performance or dinner or movie. This guy had to go to a different continent. That's pretty much the same. Relationships are hard. You'll love someone more than you knew you could most of the time, but you'll also be more annoyed by that same person at times than you knew you could. That you have the worst month-long period of your life after giving birth. I read books, took childbirth classes, and had no idea. Not a nice surprise. I knew that. What I didn't know was that when you took a crap for the first time, it was going to be like giving birth a second time. The fear of the stitches tearing open again is the worst. Sat there for ages praying, "Please don't tear," to myself. One thing I would recommend to anyone about to give birth for the first time is take stool softeners. I moved from Switzerland to America 7 years ago. Most of my family didn't stay in contact with me, so it's just every few months that I hear from someone. Me, "So hey, how's Grandpa doing?" Family member, "He's dead." Me, "What? When did he die?" Family member, 2 years ago. Me, "The fuck? Why nobody told me?" At least send me an email. "How is Grandma taking it?" Family member, "She's dead too." Me, "Fuck you all. It wasn't so much about my grandpa. He never wanted to talk on the phone anyway. Still, they could have told me on the phone. Still, I spoke with Grandma after he died, and I usually asked how everyone's doing since she and Grandpa had several family members living with them. She didn't say anything about him being dead, but said things that made me believe he's still alive, like, "I'm selling our car. We don't need 2 cars. When I asked what Grandpa's feelings were about that, she said Grandpa would be okay with it. Never really thought about it anymore. You should absolutely try to live your life as an honest and good person, but if you assume other people are as well, you will be fucked over at every turn. Until recently, I thought Sophie's Choice was a romantic comedy where a woman has to pick between 2 men or something stupid like that. I found out I was really wrong. What is it? I don't want it in my search history. Sophie's Choice is the choice between which of her 2 kids is put to death by Nazis. Went rafting in Colorado last summer. 2 buddies and I go through a briefing with about 30 other people on safety, etc. Instructors tell us all to get on the bus so we can head up the mountain. We get on the bus and people start piling in wearing these blue wetsuits. At this point, I'm thinking I missed something, but it was about 95 female degrees and I was comfortable in my t-shirt and shorts. We get to the drop-off and it's now about 65 female degrees, due to elevation, and it starts to rain. Those blue suits are looking like the way to go, but I'll be okay. We get ready to jump in our raft, and the instructor says, "No cotton on the raft! You will be miserable," and tells us to take off our shirts. So here we are, looking like a dumbass, scrawny shirtless dudes on a cold mountain, in the rain, about to jump in a rapid filled with melted snow, surrounded by people in wetsuits. It was fun, but it was cold and we got ripped on by everybody, including little kids, the instructors, and elderly. Why did nobody tell us about the wetsuits? I didn't even know where they kept them and tried to find them when we got back. If somebody would have just said, "Hey, grab a suit, they're over there." If you microwave a hard-boiled egg, it will explode. If you don't microwave it too long, it won't explode until you have taken the shell off and taken a big bite. I called my mom, a 7-year-old alone at home, crying and bleeding, asking why no one ever told me an egg could turn into a bomb. I discovered that about 11. Hard-boiled egg, still a little runny in the middle, and I was about to make egg mayo sandwiches, so I stuck it in the microwave for a bit. Took it out of the microwave, and it just exploded the moment I stuck a fork in it. Facial burns took a while to fade and I couldn't see properly for a few weeks. A coworker brought in his little daughter. Cutest little girl with red hair and super tiny. Probably about 1 year old. I was holding her, and trying to interact with her, asking things like, "See that flower? Can you point to your daddy? When I finally handed her back to her father, my friend sitting next to me was like, his daughter is blind. Why do you keep trying to have her look at stuff? I fucking hate it when people say shit like this. Asking a condescending rhetorical question to make you realize you were wrong and make you feel like an idiot. It's clear you didn't know she was blind. So why ask that question? Did she expect you to answer with, "Oh, I thought I'd just give it a try"? Why not quietly say, "Hey, she's blind. Don't know if you knew." Sorry, I just hate it when people are condescending to people who mean no harm. I was away when a friend of mine committed suicide. The first time I even heard he was dead was when his family gave me a lot of hell for not being at the funeral. How were you supposed to know? They didn't think of that. They just thought I knew and that I didn't show up. When I needed to write my first check and went to the store to buy a checkbook. Had no idea you had to get unique ones from the bank. When I was a small kid, I went to the bank with Mom. While she was at the teller station, I roamed around the lobby and spotted a long row of light switches. Since I was always being told at home to put out lights, I reached up, put the place in darkness, and ran. No one told me that by turning off all those switches that people would think the bank was being robbed and to call the police, but that's what happened. To her credit, Mom immediately figured out that I was the culprit and got the manager to call it off and got a good laugh out of the employees and customers, too. When I was a kiddo, I thought condoms were balloons, so I found one in the woods and went to show it to my family. I cringe. My little sister thought they were gum, chewed one for a couple of hours before blowing a bubble in front of my parents. Baby onesies are designed so that you can pull the garment down over the child's shoulders and off, so that you don't smear poop all over your child getting the onesie off if they have a diaper blowout. Found that out after my first kid was out of the blowout stage. Yeah, but sometimes I want to smear poop on his head. He deserves it. That you feel heartburn in your throat and not your heart. I was 20 years old and kept getting these terrible pains in my heart thinking it was normal. Turns out my heart wasn't getting enough oxygen. That everyone's first attempts usually suck. For some reason I thought that some people were just naturally talented at painting or singing or whatever and just practiced to get a bit better or because they enjoyed it. I wish someone had told me that actually it's the practice that makes you good. That you're supposed to wear a nude bra underneath a white shirt. I cringe every time I think of all the times I wore a white bra that everyone could see. Yes, your bra should match your skin tone when you wear a white shirt. I learned this when I was 17. A nice black girl explained it to me, because she was wearing a black bra with her white shirt, and well, what do you know? You couldn't see it. Acne hurts? Why does no one ever mention this? I always heard, "Oh no, my acne looks so bad today." So? It doesn't matter that it looks strange, it hurts a ton. And it doesn't magically goes away when you get older. I'm male 43 and I still get pimples. I just learned last week that the eggs we eat aren't baby chickens. I'm in college and all my life I thought that eggs would hatch if they hadn't been frozen. I'm happy to know that scrambling eggs isn't baby chicken genocide though. I don't have to feel guilty anymore. I've been using my phone outside for 6 years without realizing I could turn up the brightness to actually see the screen. I thought it was normal to not be able to see anything in sunlight. Someone told me last week to just flick up the brightness. It has changed my life. I had auto brightness turned off to save on battery, and I had no idea that brightness could be used to counteract the sun. Just a minor thing, but still. Been living in this apartment for almost 2 years. Ever since I moved in, I assumed the ignition for the stove was broken, since it never worked. Bought a lighter first day and used it ever since. 2 days ago, a man from the gas company comes by to check something and wants to see if the gas is still on. So he notices the ignition isn't on. He grabs behind the microwave and flips a switch. Viola, the ignition works now. I'm moving out Friday. I took dumps with the toilet seat up until about 2 years ago. I was completely shocked when I learned that I was supposed to shit with the seat down. I thought they were for girls to use. All that time I was sitting in dried piss and cold porcelain. That numerous drugs affect birth control's ability to prevent pregnancy. Been on it since I was 13, obviously had various antibiotics prescribed to me throughout the years, and no doctor mentioned this until I went to Planned Parenthood for UTI antibiotics, and the fucking said something. I've mentioned it to other women throughout the years since I learned about it, and there have been many who were like, "What? This This is so important, and nobody says anything. I went to the doctor for an ear infection. Are you taking any medications? Yes, birth control pills. Okay, here is an antibiotic for the infection. My oldest son was born 9 months later. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.